Earth is home to many creatures. Some may even consider a few of them monsters. But what of those more elusive and hidden creatures? The ones we just can't seem to find. Welcome to Monday Morning Monsters. Cryptozoologist and paranormal researcher Barnaby Jones talks about the unknown, mythical, undiscovered, and unidentified creatures from around the world, and the people who have seen them, look for them, and research them. Hear from witnesses about their encounters, as well as renowned names in the field about their work and research. Barnaby is the founder and lead investigator for Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society based in Wisconsin. Caps travels across Wisconsin and beyond looking for connections between different phenomena and how they can all be connected. Now, your host of Monday Morning Monsters, Barnaby Jones.
Good morning, monsters, and welcome to Monday Morning Monsters. I'm your host, Barnaby Jones. So we have awesome stuff coming up here this weekend. We are the official sponsors of, or one of the official sponsors of CryptidCon in Lexington, Kentucky, and that's finally here. We gave away a couple free tickets to that a while ago, so if you missed out on that, sorry. But we gave away some tickets. We're going to be down there in Lexington, Kentucky. Other big news, just this past Friday, our brand new series, Exclusive, came out on Paraflix Paranormal. So I want to give you guys a teaser for that as well. So our brand new series on Paraflix, let's check it out. Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Yowie, Grassman, Skunk Ape, Yahoo, Wild Man, Hairy Man. No matter what you call it, stories of large, upright ape creatures have been reported throughout recorded and oral histories around the world. Here in the United States, though, when you think of these creatures, you probably think of the Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon, Northern California, and you would be right. But did you know that Bigfoot has been reported in every state except Hawaii? It's true. Don't worry, we'll be covering all sorts of hairy, scaly, and feathered creatures on this show. But this season, we're going to start out with the ones that are right here in our team's backyard. We're going to focus on Bigfoot in Wisconsin. We're going to travel from the bottom of the state, where a woman had a gourd thrown at her from her own garden, and north to a man who saw one cross the road in front of his vehicle. Making our way even further up to a series of howls reported in the night and a trail of frozen footprints in the snow. Hunters, barkeeps, farmers, and auto mechanics all had run-ins with the big guy. So come along and follow the evidence on the trail of the undiscovered beasts. All right, guys, so that debuted this past Friday exclusively on Paraflix. Episode 1 is live right now. Episode 2 comes out next Friday, not this week, next Friday, and new episodes air every other Friday on Paraflix for Season 1. Season 2, we're already filming for that, and it's going to be all cryptids all over the United States. So, guys, if you want to go check out Paraflix, you can use the promo code CAPS10 and get 10% off your first 3 months on there. Paraflix is a streaming service very much like Netflix and other services like that. And you can all kinds of paranormal shows and everything on there. So that's what we got going on. And then, of course, this weekend we are going to be down in Lexington, Kentucky on Saturday and Sunday. There's a lot of great people down there going to be guests there, like Ben Hansen, Cliff Bergman, and Maria Mayer from Expedition Bigfoot, to name a few. The whole list is on their website. You can get tickets for that. And then our next event we got coming up, it won't be until March, and that is the Frogman Festival in Ohio. So I wanted to get that out there for people to plan ahead. We have a lot of stuff from March to June of next year, places that we're going to be. So if you guys want to check that out, that's our next upcoming events. All right, guys. Speaking of upcoming events, our guest here, I have encountered several times in the wild at many of these events. She is the founder and main creator for Cryptid Comforts. Let's welcome to the show, Lisa.
Hey,
Hey, Lisa, how are you doing?
spectacular. How are you?
I am great. I neglected to mention one of your other accolades in the opening. You are an author.
I have written one children's book so far called Why So Sad, Squonk. That is, yeah, written and illustrated by me with some help from my friend Brandy, who's actually a professional songwriter. So she came in and kind of, made the sentences flow really nice and sound good. She takes all of my rough stuff and smooths it out, and she's amazing.
Awesome. Well, one book is still an author, so you got that covered. Well, tell us about yourself a little bit and like what you do and how you got started into cryptids and making little stuffed ones.
All right. So yeah, I am Cryptid Comforts. My real name is Lisa, for those of you who don't know. And I specialize in cryptozoology themed stuffed animals, but I make all sorts of stuff at this point. I mean, my work runs the gamut at this point, but still stuffies are always going to be my specialty. Although my catnip toys have really started going crazy. So I sell mostly at events and online, but I also sell in some local to other people, not me, shops like Sasquatch the Legend up in Forks, Washington. And then I've got the Mothman Museum, the International Paranormal Museum in Somerset, Kentucky, the Hodag store, Mythical Pizza in West Virginia. So you can find my stuff at a few places. Sorry, are my birds really loud on the camera? Because
it's a nice ambiance.
Okay. They seem particularly fussy at the moment.
It's fine. So
Right.
what got you into doing all that?
So a long time ago, it was shortly after I'd moved to Portland, Oregon, and just didn't have much money, so I wasn't going out and doing things. I was just kind of a homebody at that point. And then one day, Joshua, my boyfriend, was headed off to work, and he's like, "So, what are you going to do today?" Because I had the day off, and I was like, "I'm going to make a sock monkey." And he looked at me, he's like, "Do you know how to do that?" I was like, "No." I'd never sewn anything in my life. And so he's like, "Then how are you going to do it?" I was like, "Google." So got some thread and a needle and a pair of socks and a pillow and went crazy. So I made my first sock monkey, and that was like 13 years ago now, maybe. It was a long time ago. I think in 2009. That sounds right. And so that kind of started me on the sewing stuffies. And I'd never sewn anything in my life, and is so ugly, and I love him. I still have him. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. I couldn't stop. That year for Christmas, Joshua got me a sewing machine, and I kind of took off. I was first making, sock animals, and then I used to have a business called In a Stitch, which was primarily sock animals, but then I started venturing into fabrics, and then it was in 2016, I think that's right. 2015 or 2016, whatever year that the Oregon Bigfoot Festival first happened. I was also teaching at that time at Portland Jewish Academy, and I got to create my own curriculum for the Summer Discovery program. And I had a class called Unicorns, Dragons, and Bigfoots. Oh my. And so it was the same year as the Oregon Bigfoot Festival, though. So I signed up to be a vendor at the Oregon Bigfoot Festival. I started making some Bigfoot stuff. And I like to joke that Bigfoot is the gateway drug into other cryptids. So that's how it started. And I loved the Bigfoot Festival and had so much fun. And I was like, oh, this is really neat. And like the more I learned about cryptids, the more I got into it. And I was doing both for a really long time. And then I think it was like 20, late 2017 or early 2018 when I came up with the name Cryptid Comforts. And then I started just slowly phasing out the in a stitch and focusing on cryptids exclusively. And yeah, that's how it happened.
So which was the first cryptid that you made?
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
The second was Mothman.
Okay.
So yeah, so now I make so many, so many.
I was gonna ask how many different cryptids do you currently have?
Oh, I don't know, maybe 30. I mean, some of them, like I've only made a couple of, and they haven't made it full on into the rotation. Others, like I do constantly, like I never stop making hodags, it seems like, because there's been big demand for that. Yeah, so hodags, Mothman, Bigfoot tend to always be the really big sellers. Fresno Nightwalkers are pretty popular. Yeah. So some I make thousands and thousands and thousands of, and others I've made two.
I see you have a new one for Christmas out. Is that like on your website?
Yeah, I just put it up this morning, actually.
Okay.
I do have that available. So my Krampuses are already sold out. So I could still make them if somebody really needed one and wanted to reach out to me. But I just this morning came out with a collab that I did with Professional Kiwi. That is her business name. Her actual name is Kiwi. And I met her recently at an event here in Colorado. And she had this really awesome costume that was a giant skull. And so it reminded me of Mary Laud. And so we got to talking and I was like, I have this idea. And so she did the 3D printed skulls. Well, actually, her boyfriend 3D printed them, Michael. And then she did the gessoing and sanding and making them, look nice. And then I built around the skulls, the costume, like I used white fleece, some ribbon, and a few like felt roses, and just kind of, I did polymer clay, glow in the dark polymer clay for the eyes. So that's kind of fun. Yeah.
Very cool. Very
So
cool.
I got a few of those available. I have 4 left.
Awesome. Yeah, you have all kinds of stuff. I was just telling Todd before the show that like I have run into you probably more than like most of the random vendors out there, because I mean we both travel all over the United States to these events, and once in a while you run into certain other vendors at these other events. Most likely, I usually run into either you or the Hodag store.
Yeah, and I mean a lot of events Ben and I have done together the last couple of years, so that's fun. Unfortunately, this weekend you will not see me, which I'm very sad about. You will see Ben. Ben will have Ben will be repping Cryptid Comforts for me because he has a lot of my stuffies that he's going to bring along since I can't be there. So it's a bummer that I'm going to miss it, but it's really hard when I live on the other side of the country, and traveling back for just one singular event seems kind of difficult. So.
Yeah, I like your big, the really big hodag that he's got.
Oh yeah, that thing's huge. That was fun.
He got it from you last year at CryptidCon, if I remember right. And his car he just had his car he traveled down there with, and it was literally packed solid with stuff that he was like giving away stuff at the end of the event to make room in his car to take the hodag home.
Pack it up, and I put the giant hodag in the passenger seat and told Egan he had to ride on the roof, but we made it work.
That's good. Awesome.
Yeah, on the way out to CryptidCon, I had the hodag and giant Mongolian death worm I had made riding in my passenger seat. Got a few comments when I stopped for gas.
Nice, nice. That's quite a pair right there. The death worm and the hodag.
Yeah, yeah. I had a 6 foot long Mongolian death worm.
Now, do you suppose that that's more like accurate size for those things, or you think they're bigger?
Oh, I mean, I think 6 foot would maybe be a small one.
Mhm. So you make all these creatures. Now, do you end up going and doing the whole research and stuff and learning about them before you make them?
Usually, yeah. I mean, some of them have just been like, okay, like somebody will ask me to make something and I don't look into it too much. But a lot of times, like I do research, and what I like to do especially is research the physical descriptions that people who have seen it say they've seen, so that I can, make it with some. I mean, they're not meant to be super accurate. They're ridiculous and adorable. But, I like to actually take the description that people give in mind when I make anything. Um, so I just recently did a snarly yow, and I've only made one of those so far. But I just basically made a cute little black puppy stuffy and put a collar on him with the tag that says snarly yow. And that's kind of what I did with Dogman and the Beast of Bray Road. I made little tags for him to put on collars because I think that's funny. So everything I do, I just do to amuse myself.
That's what you gotta do. You never work a day in your life if you enjoy what you do.
Right. And if other people happen to be amused by my ridiculousness, bonus.
Absolutely. That's kind of where I started with all the stuff that I do. So
Yeah. Yeah. You got to do
so
what makes you happy.
mhm. So what are the more unique ones? You talked about a couple of them now. What are some other cryptids that you got out?
Oh, well, I recently started going through the book Fearsome Creatures of the Lumberwoods, which
Ah,
has the hodag and the
yep.
squonk and the slide rock bolter, which I had to make when I moved to Colorado. So I'm, kind of working through that book. I made a Wapaloosie, which is so cute, but I only made a couple of those. I need to make more. Um, I'm so busy. I haven't had a chance to work on a whole lot of new stuff. I did recently take a break from all my orders to make a HP Lovecraft stuffy.
Mm,
Um, I'm not going to pronounce it right. A Shoggoth. I
mhm.
don't.
I don't know.
I don't know. Uh, a strange blobby creature with lots of eyes. Basically, is kind of
Oh,
the.
yep, I did see that one.
Yeah. So it's not a
Yep.
cryptid, but it's. I feel like H.P. Lovecraft creatures are somewhat closely related to cryptids.
Awesome. While we're talking about all these, if people wanted to see pictures of these, where can they find your stuff and where can they see them
The
or
best
order them?
would be go to my Instagram page, or actually just go to cryptidcomforts.com. That's easy because that has a link to my store. It has a link to my Instagram, it has a link to my Facebook. I think TikTok. I think I put a link on there, even though I forget that I have that and hardly ever use it. It's got a link to Cryptid Crate Junior, which I'm also a part of. Um, so yeah, all my links are at cryptidcomforts.com. And my Instagram handle is at cryptid_comforts.
Awesome. Yeah, because like I said, I follow you on Facebook and stuff, and I've seen some of the stuff that you're talking about, like the Krampus that you were talking about, and then the Lovecraft guy, and I've seen them. They pop up. They're pretty cool. So
Yeah. My favorite part of my Krampus, speaking of things I do to amuse myself, is that it comes with a little sack full of children. It's got
yes, it
these little,
does.
little plastic babies that go in a bag. Yeah, that's my favorite part. Like I put hard work into the design of the face and the coat and everything, but my favorite part is the little sack full of plastic babies because it's funny.
Oh yes, very cool. We have the Krampus Festival coming up in a couple weeks here in Wisconsin. Are you going to be part of that?
No, unfortunately, I am here for the winter. I'm here until at least late April. Yeah, it's hard when I'm trying because I want to do so many events and
Hmm.
I just can't be in two places at once, and it's hard when I leave for extended periods of time, because then Joshua's left taking care of all the animals, and if one of them gets sick, which they always do when I leave town. Actually, my dog is laying next to me snoring right now. You all heard the birds making a ruckus a little while ago. We have two cats, so it can be a lot to deal with. So he gets upset if I'm gone too long. And but yeah, I want to move back east. He has a really great job here though, and so unless he could move that out there, which he explained to me why that would be difficult yesterday. So yeah, it's something we've been talking about on and off for a couple of years now, is that it'd be better for me to live out east for work because I could travel to more events and be gone less time. But it's a hard situation, and we're trying to figure it out. But I want to do all the events and I can't.
The problem is too, is a lot of the events that we go to are always booked on the same days. I know like Van Meter was tough. That was like 4 or 5 different events that day.
I know. And Van Meter the year before was spectacular. Like I did so great at that event. And this year it was a different, like being indoors. I don't know if that was the reason, but it felt different. It didn't go as well for me. So I feel like, I don't know, like it was a big difference. Usually there's consistency in events. Like I know what to expect when I go to Mothman. I know what to expect when I go to Cryptid Con, but that one was drastically different from one year to the next. So I'm curious.
Probably just the location change. I mean, we did pretty well at that one, but that was the first time we were there. So
yeah, I did it the year before and did like astonishingly well for it being a small event. Because it's not big like Mothman or Cryptid Con. You know, there's only like a dozen vendors or so. So it's definitely I think there were more vendors this past year than the year before, but yeah, but it was a different vibe this year.
That was a lot of fun though. I had a good time there. Yeah. Especially we had Creepy Acres between the two of us there.
Yeah.
Those guys are a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're always fun.
That was the first time I got to meet those guys.
Oh, wait. They came out to Hodag Fest. They weren't a part of it, but they were there hanging out.
I did not meet them there, no.
Oh. Huh. I met them for the first time in Oregon at an Oregon festival. So, yeah.
So you got all these little stuff, guys. You're living out in Oregon. No, you're from Washington.
I'm living in Colorado right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was in Washington last year, moved to Colorado. Okay. Yeah.
So you get to all these places, you travel all this time, and so have you done any like investigations? Have you gone out looking for any of these creatures?
No.
Okay. Is it something that you want to do, or?
I would love to. I would love to accompany people on an investigation and go kind of do that. Like I would enjoy that a great deal. I just never had the opportunity.
Very interesting. Have you ever come across anything weird or had any sightings of anything?
I just sit in my craft room sewing all day. I don't get a chance to see anything fun or cool. No, I used to, when I lived in Portland, I had a friend who lived on the Columbia River. And so I would sit out on her back deck a lot, just spend hours out there. I cat sat for her whenever she was out of town. So I'd get to hang out at this beautiful place on the river. And Colossal Claude, who is said to live in that river, I'd sit out there and watch for him. And a few times I was like, oh, there he is. And then it'd be, something else. But it's so hard to tell. Like, you're looking at a distance at water, things move, it's water. So chances of me actually having seen Colossal Claude, I'd say, are pretty slim, but possible. I've seen a few things out there I couldn't explain.
So what is the story of Colossal Claude?
Oh, so he's like a Nessie kind of creature. So a big water monster, but apparently he had the sightings of Claude came when there were salmon shortages going on in the river, because that river's known for salmon. And so there would be these dips where there just weren't that many salmon one year. And so fishing boats were out there and gathering, what salmon they could find. And that's when they'd have run-ins with Colossal Claude trying to steal their nets because he needed to eat. So there were a few various sightings by fishermen of this large creature. One was only like maybe 15 feet from its head. When they explained it, they were like, this was chewing through our fishing net, and this was crazy. And then a few years later, there was another described as a much smaller version, and they gave him a different name. Now I can't remember what the name was. I don't know. That was spotted by said BP oil, like some oil company was out there doing something and saw this creature and like documented their sighting of it. Gosh, obviously my brain has so much information I've tried to store in there that I can't remember anything. Yeah, I can't remember what they named the littler one, but they thought it might have been an offspring of Colossal Claude.
And where was that river again?
That's it's between Washington and Oregon, so right on the border. So it's the Columbia River.
Okay. I have not heard of that. I mean, like every state has its own lake monsters. I mean, I think Chad Lewis was just on our show a couple weeks ago, and I think he said there was like, I can't remember, like 50 or 70 lake monsters just in Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
So different rivers and lakes and stuff around here. So, I mean, that's quite impressive, so.
Yeah. No, that is a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you have an entire book about one very specific cryptid.
I do.
And I was wondering if you could kind of give a little background story of what that cryptid is, why you picked it. Tell us all about the little guy.
All right. Well, so my book, as I mentioned before, is called Why So Sad, Squonk. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the squonk, it was featured in the book Fearsome Creatures of the Lumberwoods, which came out in, I believe, 1910. And so it's all like lumberjack folklore. So a lot of fun things, but that's the Hodags mentioned in there, the Wapaloosie, quite a few others, but really cool creatures that became very popular in spoken folklore of that time through the lumberjack community, basically. And so with the squonk, it's said to live in the hemlock forest in Pennsylvania, and it cries all the time because he's so ugly. Poor little guy. His skin doesn't fit and it's all loose, and you can never actually capture a squonk, because if you tried, if you were to sneak up on a squonk and like throw it in a burlap sack or something, it would get so upset. It would cry so much that it would just dissolve itself. So it is the saddest creature in the world. And so I was inspired by the story of the squonk to write a children's book about it. And in the book, my squonk is crying because he's being bullied by some very mean squirrels, because squirrels are jerks. But so he's being bullied, and then I wanted for my secondary character to be something that also regionally would fit with Pennsylvania. And so I chose the Dogman, but I also like for the Dogman that people think of the Dogman as a vicious creature. And so that became a very important point in my book, that this Dogman went out of his way to show kindness and compassion to this poor squonk in the woods, and befriended him and made sure he knew that he was special just the way he was. And then so spoiler alert, in the end, the Dogman has managed to cheer up the squonk, and then the squonk asked the Dogman very seriously, like, is there anything that ever makes you feel bad? And he's like, yeah. And he gets really sad, and he's like, people think that I'm mean and scary. And the squonk's like, what? You're not scary at all. And so the idea that everyone's feelings can get hurt, and it doesn't matter who you are, and people are sensitive, or animals, creatures can be sensitive. And so let's just show kindness and compassion to everyone, and the world would be a better place.
Very cool. Very cool. So where can people find your book if they want to get a copy of it?
They can get it in my Etsy shop. So there's cryptidcomforts.com. Hit up my Etsy. It's on there, or at any event you may see me at.
Which is quite a few.
And I also will occasionally be dressed as a Squonk in my Squonk mascot suit. So that's always fun too.
I think that is your profile picture on the Cryptid Comforts right now, is you at Mothman.
Yeah, on my Facebook page. Yeah.
Definitely. So if you want to see that, a big life-size Squonk, you can go check that out too.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
I think you got some pictures of Squonk and Hodag on there as well.
Oh yeah, Ben and I had a lot of fun at Cryptid Bash. He was not vending there, and he didn't think that he was going to make it. And then, kind of last minute, he decided to fly out and surprise everyone. So I was the only one who knew in advance that he was coming. So he and I had coordinated, and I picked him up from the airport. And so yeah, we had a lot of fun wearing our costumes and causing havoc at Cryptid Bash. And then afterwards we went out to Grafton, West Virginia to see the Grafton monster, and we did a little photo shoot there. So yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Awesome. So what is the Grafton monster?
Oh, the Grafton monster it's a West Virginia cryptid. I've often said that if I had to choose a cryptid to be my boyfriend, it would be the Grafton monster, because for some reason he just seems very sweet and cuddly. I don't know. Big guy with no head. Just it's a cryptid.
A strong silent type.
Right. He has eyes kind of oddly placed like on his shoulder, but very bulky big guy. I make mine out of fur, so they're very fluffy little guys. And it's just arms, legs, and body with some eyes. Pretty cute stuff. But yeah, so it was only seen once. And so a lot of, cryptids, some cryptid anomalies, like, the indescribable Octoman, where it was seen for a short period of time, but by multiple people. It's like, okay, something weird went on there. But with the Grafton monster, it was seen once by one person. And it's probably pretty much someone was driving down the road, saw something, they were like, that's weird, and then came back to look for it and couldn't find it. So yeah, that one I think is probably not anything, but but I
it's
still
taken
like
identification or something.
Yeah, somebody saw something and was like, what the hell? But then upon looking back was like, nope, nothing's there. So who knows what they actually saw. But the fact that it was only seen once by one person, it's a kind of a lesser known cryptid, but it fits in with the West Virginia cryptids because there's so many cryptids in West Virginia. West Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, that's where all the best monsters are.
That's what I was gonna say. What else you got from West Virginia? Because I'm sure everyone's familiar with Mothman, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And if you're not,
Mothman,
we can have a whole show just on that. But
exactly,
you got the Mothman. What else we got?
I would say the Mothman's the most famous cryptid after Bigfoot. Obviously, there have been Bigfoot sightings in West Virginia. The Flatwoods Monster is from West Virginia. That's a really interesting one. The Vegetable Man, the Snarly Owl. So yeah, there's all sorts of strange things seen in West Virginia.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think West Virginia is not a big state. You look at California and Texas, you have so much room and so much opportunity for these creatures out there. But West Virginia is very small.
Yeah. I often make the joke that it has to do with the pollution in the Ohio River, because it seems like a lot of things along the Ohio River, like even in Ohio and Kentucky, things that connect to the Ohio River, things get weird. But sheep squatch, that's another West Virginia one. So not all of them are attached to the Ohio River though, but I think just in general, I don't know, West Virginia just seems to have a lot of weirdness going on. I don't know.
Yeah, and like you said, Kentucky, again, when you think of from what I do, looking at cryptids and stuff, specifically, Kentucky is another state that has just a lot of weird things going on in it. I mean, we just went down there to do a haunted mine investigation last year, and
awesome.
right after we were down there, one of the cities that was right by there had a dogman sighting.
Oh.
So it was within like a couple weeks of when we were down there. So
yeah, there have been dogman sightings in multiple states for sure. Yeah. Lots of different dogman, which I mean, like some of them could just be really strange big dogs that happen to jump at just the right moment to freak someone out. I don't know. I mean, I feel like most of cryptozoology is probably just misidentification, but there's a lot that just, I mean, we're not supposed to know everything that's going on out there. So some of it I just can't make any logical sense of. So I'm like, who knows? I'm not meant to know. That's my conclusion. There's too much that I'm not meant to know. Do aliens exist? Probably, because it'd be kind of stupid to say that we're the only ones. Me and my sister had a conversation once where we concluded that all cryptids were aliens. Who knows?
It's possible, There's the whole penal colony theory of Earth as well, where we're just this bunch of things that got left here by other alien races. I mean, that's possible too. There was recent research talking about, and this is scientific research, talking about how the octopus shouldn't be here. That possibly is actually
octopuses are
an
weird.
Alien species.
They are very strange. I mean, the fact that a gigantic octopus can squeeze through a hole that tiny, just no problem. I mean, they are very, very strange creatures. That's the one animal that my boyfriend's afraid of.
I mean, I feel like most people that stay away from water are probably safe from octopuses, but you never know. You never know. There's they're talking about, yeah, definitely. There's videos and stuff that you can go online and watch of security camera footage of octopuses. Hi, Kitty. Welcome to the show. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Highway.
Hello. There is videos that you can watch online of octopus that escapes its aquarium, goes over to another aquarium, eats a fish, and then goes back to its aquarium. Like in these, yeah, they're very smart, very smart animals.
They can use tools. Like you can't confine them because, like, I've seen video where you put an octopus in a jar and it'll just unscrew the lid, no problem, climb right out, do its thing. Yep. Yeah, no, they're super weird.
That's why I always I do a presentation on cryptozoology and stuff, and people always say, well, Bigfoot is, paranormal because we say that it can cloak or uses these balls of light or uses infrasound or mind speak and all these things.
Okay.
But, these things have to be paranormal or interdimensional or extraterrestrial to do that. Well, if you look at the animals that we have on our planet, look at the octopus. It can change colors. It's super intelligent. It has a beak, all this stuff that just doesn't belong here to begin with. And we know that they exist.
Yeah.
So how can we put, Bigfoot in this box of can't exist when we don't know? And we're still learning about things that we do know exist that they can do. So,
yeah. And I mean, the fact that plenty of animals that we've proven are real were once considered cryptids. My favorite of which is the duckbill platypus. I mean, could there be a more ridiculous animal so made up? Like, yeah, that's not real, but it is. It's like, oh yeah, there's this egg-laying beaver with a duck face that, oh, by the way, it's poisonous. No, that's made up.
And it's bioluminescent or biofluorescent.
Are they? I didn't know that about them.
They glow under black light.
Did not know that.
That research just came out last year, I believe. So they get even weirder.
Yeah, they're so weird. But if those can be real, I'm convinced anything could be.
Definitely. And have you ever seen a platypus in real life?
I have not.
So unfortunately I haven't either. I've seen them like in museums and stuff, but not like alive ones.
Yeah.
The San Diego Zoo is the only zoo in the United States that has them
Oh.
outside of Australia. So I haven't made it out there. The Shed Aquarium used to have one, but it passed away. But
Oh.
San Diego is the only zoo in the United States where you can go see them right now. But they're only about like this big.
Really? I always imagined they were like beaver sized.
Nope, they're pretty little. I mean, they might be a little bit bigger than that, but they're really little guys.
Wow.
So
yeah, I always pictured them bigger.
I always thought they were too, but they're not that bigger critters.
Huh. Well, they just get more interesting all the time.
Absolutely. So with all of your study of cryptids and weird things and stuff like that, besides Bigfoot, Dogman, Mothman, we'll throw those guys out, and the sea creatures, we'll throw those guys out. So out of all the weirder other stuff out there, what do you think has the most likelihood of actually being a real creature?
Well, so I tend to think that ones, like I mentioned before, like the indescribable Octoman, the ones that have been seen multiple times by multiple people during a short period of time. My cat has been stealing bobbins out of my craft room and is now running around playing with them. Okay. He's crazy. But yeah, so like things like the indescribable Octoman, who were sighted over a couple days by many, many people. Then you have the sorry, my brain just broke. The Dover Demon, that's what I was trying to say. Dover Demon, also seen by multiple people over a very short period of time. The Van Meter Visitor, seen by multiple people over a very short period of time. So I feel like those things have some validity to them. And whatever they were doing, who knows? Something weird happened that I can't explain, but I don't know. I think just having it seen by a lot of people in a short period of time, that to me creates a little more validity than, say, something like the Grafton Monster that was only seen once. And, I don't know, that's fascinating to me when a bunch of different people all report seeing the same thing in a small window of time.
Incredible witnesses too. Like we're talking about the Van Meter Visitor. You had the banker at the time. You had police officers and sheriffs at the time had seen this thing. I believe there was either the lawyer or the judge. I can't remember which now, but also said that he saw it down there. So
yeah, town full of people that saw this strange thing. What that thing was, who knows? But it was something that they weren't familiar with, that we're not familiar with. So, I mean, it was 1903, I believe, was the year. So, I mean, but I still can't think of a creature that would have that glowing light in the middle of its forehead the way that did, like to have a spotlight and the way it jumped. It seemed kind of dinosaur in nature. I don't know. I can't for the life of me figure out what like reasonable animal that would be.
For those of you that don't know, like the Van Meter Visitor was this like a pteranodon flying dinosaur kind of like creature, but it had a horn on its head and then like a light coming out of the center of its head that was seen by several people, like this bright light throughout the town, and they would look out and they would see this creature outside. It was shot at. It climbed a telephone pole. They shot it off the telephone pole, and
yeah.
And multiple days, as you said, over this, like I think it was a week,
3 days.
Or 14. Okay.
I think it was only 3 days, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I know it wasn't very long, but then it disappeared for a while. Then they saw the two of them because they tracked it back to the mine. Yeah, and then we went on Chad's tour there that night, and he said that it came out of the mine, but then there was two of them. So then they waited until it came back, and then they barricaded up the mine. So
yeah,
but
yeah,
whatever that was.
Weird stuff. I just
Another
know that whatever they are, whether they're real or not, it makes life more interesting and it's fun. And so I just enjoy the fun of it. And, you know, it allows for a lot of creativity when making stuff. And I mean, the fact that I am, you know, able to make ridiculous little stuffies of strange things that may or may not exist and just have fun with it and make a living at it, like that's kind of a miracle. So I love what I do. I love cryptids, whether, you know, whether they're real or not, it doesn't matter because they make life more interesting.
Definitely. They're popping up more and more mainstream now as well.
I know, which is great for business. I will say, the more people who get to know about cryptids, the better it is for me. I've certainly, you know, seen like more things out there, like more board games. Like I have a thing for cryptid board games. I also collect cryptid themed beer cans. There's getting to be more of those. Like, so yeah, anything that I see out there that's kind of cryptid, I'm like, ooh, that looks fun. The last podcast on the left just came out with a board game that I haven't gotten to play yet, but I bought it a couple weeks ago. But yeah, cryptid themed stuff seems to be popping up, and then, you know, there's more TV shows about the paranormal and cryptids. And I think as it becomes more popular in culture, video games, yeah, it's MetaZoo has definitely helped with the popularity. And yeah, I think all these things really grow the community, and the cryptid community is so cool. It's such a great community. So many people who are just kind and supportive of one another, and like it's a really good community.
It definitely is. You know, like a lot of the, you know, these people that have seen something, you know, it's not that, you know, they're crazy, but the fact that people assume that of them. So all the people out there that have seen something have, you know, banded together, and they're like, you know, I know what I saw, and I believe you and you believe me. And
Yeah.
it's amazing going to these conventions and stuff, because they're like, you know, I didn't know, I've never told this story before, you know, and, you know, I come to this event because, you know, you know, don't think I'm crazy. Well, here you're standing in a room of people, you know, dressed up as Bigfoot and walking around, and, you know, I believe t-shirts and stuff. Well, don't think I'm crazy, but this one time, oh really? You know, no, everybody here has a one-time story, so you're in good company. So
yeah. No, and I mean, I think that's a great outlet for people who and you know, people who are into this stuff. Like, we all flock together, and it's pretty cool. And my mom came to CryptidCon with me in 2019, and like her takeaway from it was there were so many people who are really into this stuff, but wow, like she was kind of surprised to see like that there is this group of people that come together. And oh, I'm wearing a Van Meter visitor shirt, I just realized. But yeah, she was just kind of surprised, and she's like, wow, so there's really a lot of people who are really into this, and you know, they come out to this festival and they really love it. I was like, yeah, it's pretty big, and it gets bigger every year, which has been great as the community grows. And you know, things are, I mean, the turnout for Mothman this year was mind-blowing. And I think part of that is because we haven't had it for the past 2 years, but that's one of the longest running, if not the longest running cryptid themed festival in the world. So it's been going on for over 20 years now. So missing it in 2020 and 2021 definitely had people really itching to get back to it. And so the swarms of people this year were unbelievable. It was amazing. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with Mothman.
So you've done a lot of these conventions. Where would you say the other big ones are? Like, we know CryptidCon's pretty big.
Yeah. So Mothman is the biggest, I think, in the world. And then CryptidCon is pretty big. Van Meter Visitor one year was really, really big. Last year, not as much, but I mean, not big in size, but I guess, big in how much money I made. It's kind of how I judge these
Yeah.
events. I've done a couple of Bigfoot festivals on the West Coast. I did one up in Medellin, Washington, which is up near the Canadian border. That one was pretty big. So yeah, I mean, those are probably some of the biggest ones that I've done. And then,
Have you ever done
others
Salt Forks?
going to, huh?
Have you ever done Salt Fork?
Oh
Ohio?
yeah, I did that last year. I'm going to do that again.
How was that one?
It was good. It was really good.
Yeah, we're gonna be there this year. Or
oh, cool. Yeah,
next year. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited. I'll be there.
Very
May
cool.
6th, for those of you who don't know.
Yeah. It hasn't made it to my pre-show thing there yet because it's so far out. But
right.
Yeah, we're also doing the Small Town Monster Festival this year.
I'll be there.
That's the first one of those. Good. We'll be seeing each other quite a bit next year.
The day before the Small Town Monsters one, that Friday night, there's another festival about a half hour away called the Ohio Grassman Festival.
Okay.
I am going to be there. So I'll be doing that one that night. It only runs from like 6 to 9, so it's a smaller one, but it's only a half hour away from the Small Town Monsters one the night before. So I was like, yeah, I might as well.
Yeah.
So that's being put on by Ohio Odd Mall.
Okay.
If you're familiar with them. So that will definitely be a fun little add-on that I just signed up for. And then I have the Hodag Festival again in May as well. And then the week after Small Town Monsters should be Withville should be happening again. So yeah, stuff to look forward to.
Oh yeah, we're like I said, we're busy from the beginning. When is Frogman? April, March. Yep, March.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss
and we're doing that, and then we're already scheduled all the way through mid-June.
Wow.
So,
okay. Yeah, I've got a few here and there already kind of set in stone, and others that are on my kind of wish list of ones that I want to pick up. I mean, obviously I'm going to do Mothman again. I always do. But yeah, trying to kind of figure out, and then there will be Squonk Fest. Unfortunately, we have not gotten everything solidified with the city yet, but I'm planning that with Joe of Cryptozoology. He and I have been planning that, and that should be in late August. We're like, our date tentative is August 26th, I believe. And so we're just waiting on hearing a little more from the city there as to we picked out the venue and everything, but they just have to get final approval. And then we'll make more announcements. I do have a Squonk. It's actually going to be called Squonkapalooza. And I've got a Squonkapalooza Instagram page already started. There's not much on there yet because we don't have much info, but that is started. So
you're going to need a lot of tissues.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Awesome. Well, remind everyone again where they can find information from you and all your stuff.
CryptidComforts.com and Squonkapalooza.com for Squonk Fest. We haven't actually got the website up yet. Got an Instagram for that one. We will get a website once we actually have information. And then on Instagram, I'm at cryptid_comforts. I got my Etsy shop, and I'm heavily involved in Cryptid Crate. So you can find my stuff every month in Cryptid Crate Junior. If you want to start collecting my stuffies, that's a good way to do it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it seems like I will be seeing quite a bit of you this coming year.
Seems like, yeah, we will definitely be running into each other at a few events.
Definitely. Well, it's always good to see you. It's always good to hang out with you. I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Definitely. So, guys, if you want to come out and check out Cryptid Comforts, go check out all the little stuffies. They're really cool. And your book, go check that out. And you also have like magnets and all kinds of other stuff too. Magnets, is that all on the website?
Pins, you name it, I've probably got it. And now I just started doing a whole dye sublimation thing. So I'm doing tumblers and mouse pads, and I can do all sorts of stuff now.
Do you do custom orders too?
Sure.
Okay, there you go.
I'm flexible. I do what people want.
Awesome. Do you have a chupacabra?
Oh yeah.
Obviously. I mean, you
I
got
don't
it.
think he's on my. I think I'm sold out of those right now. I haven't had a chance to re-up those, but yeah, I've got a cute little chupacabra. He's yellow with green spikes, and yeah.
I don't know if I've seen him. You
He's.
literally were set up next to me at 2 events, and I don't know if I've ever seen him.
I might not have had him at those. Those are ones
Okay.
that like they're a little more difficult to make, so I don't make them as often. And when I do, they sell. Same with Jersey Devil. Like my Jersey Devils sell as fast as I make them. So I just haven't had the time. I've been working on orders for all my wholesale clients and the crate and just keeping busy. So hopefully it's supposed to slow down for me. Of course, I said that this past month and it still hasn't, but it should be slowing down for me through the winter. So I should be able to get caught up on some of those that are fan favorites that are a little harder to make. Because I hand make absolutely every one of them. And I hand draw each and every one of them. So a lot of people are surprised when they hear that because some people just design stuffies and then get them ordered by someone else to make. And I actually sew each and every one and I draw each and every one. I don't use patterns. So it takes a long time.
Yeah, understandable. Definitely. I completely understand. I used to do screen printing and embroidery, and I still do the embroidery for stuff that I need, but it's just so time consuming to do that for me. You know, I got so much other stuff going on, but yep, I understand.
Yeah. Keeps you busy.
It does. All right, Lisa. Well, thank you very much for being on the show today. I appreciate it. It's always good seeing you again, and I will be seeing you out there real soon.
You sure will.
All right, guys, go check out Cryptid Comforts. Get all the stuffies and keychains and mouse pads and everything else that you got out there to offer. Your book. So until next time, guys, until we see you out there, guys.